What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So a quick heads up, this Wednesday, April 2nd, there won't be a Newswave that morning because instead, I'll be live reacting to the Switch 2 event, and I'll be going live on the channel here, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll see what Nintendo has for us. It's been a while since I've done one of these live stream reactions to a big gaming event, but it's also been a while since Nintendo introduced a brand new generation, a new system, so I figured why not, let's do that here and see what they have for us. Of course, there'll still be plenty of coverage following since there's going to be a ton of information just kind of getting thrown out there and a lot to really go over. Today, though, we do have quite a bit of stuff to take a look at, which does include Nintendo pushing out a release date for their Zelda movie, which might be more than just one title, as well as actually causing quite a few issues to that application that they have now put out there. We also have GTA 6 back in the headlines for not really being in the headlines, as Strauss Zelnick has actually addressed some of the silence around what people are looking at as the biggest gaming release ever. And then we have console gaming to take a look at because it seems like, once again, someone's alluding to the idea that maybe the console gaming space, those days are numbered, and we have to make way for cell phones and tablets. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members for the channel do get Newswave early. If you would like to learn more about that, click the join button or the link in the description down below. And we're going to start today with an update to that Switch 2 pre-order story, where we were expecting, just based on some stuff going around, as well as what looked like a leaked listing by Best Buy, that it could be going up April 2nd, like after the presentation. Well, now we have this posted up. This is over on Insider Gaming, where they say they have an exclusive with a US retailer, saying that according to the documents from that retailer, pre-orders are set to go live on April 9th, that being, of course, 1 week after the Switch 2 Direct. And my thing with this, okay, so based on this, sure, a week later, but it doesn't hurt to be ready just in case on April 2nd, because they're talking about a specific US retailer. You never know. There could be other retailers that decide that they're going to go live with pre-orders, and I would say just be prepared on the off chance that pre-orders do open after that presentation. Otherwise, then, okay, just hang out and wait a week and then prepare for April 9th, which will probably be mayhem just the same. Also, we did a release date for Mind's Eye, which is interesting because I feel like it was announced back in 2023 as something a bit different. It's gonna be like episodic and part of like a larger ecosystem, it seemed. But now it's sort of like its own one-off title. We'll see if there's like a sequel if it's really successful, but like, it's not necessarily going to be episodic, I guess, now. And it's coming out sooner than I think people were expecting. So we can see the new trailer here, and Mind's Eye is coming out June 10th. Now, this is from like ex-Rockstar developers and stuff, and so you play as Jacob Diaz, is a former elite soldier fitted with the Mind's Eye. It's a mysterious neural implant that haunts him with fragmented memories of a covert mission that changed his life forever. Fight to uncover the truth in a world where AI, high-tech experimentation, and unchecked military power shape every encounter. Like, everything they're saying here sounds interesting enough, kind of that sci-fi military style game, but I'm still not necessarily sure what I'm getting into here. I mean, narrative driven, sure. I'm just the gameplay and maybe progression and stuff. There's still some things that are kind of missing, and it's out in June, so we're not even that far away from it. So that was the thing that surprised me the most, is we get the release date. No, it's legitimately a couple of months away. So if anything, we'll at least see what we have here as we get closer to the summer. Oh, and good news for Silent Hill fans in Australia, as Silent Hill F did get its rating. If you remember, before it seemed like there was an error for like an automatic listing around it being denied classification. Well, now we can see over on the updated site, it's sitting with MA 15+. Some are also noticing that it seems to just be the original version, as in they didn't have to necessarily censor anything, I guess. Again, we'll see more when it comes out. We can compare between that and other versions around the world. But at least for now, it seems like it's gotten through and it should be set up for its planned release date, which we're still waiting to hear about that. But the fact that we're seeing it being classified here and other places in the world does make me think that we're actually not too far away from its release. Maybe it's something that comes out towards the end of summer, like that August or maybe September time period, but good to know. It seems like something that we should at least have out, I would say, the next 6 months. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and their Legend of Zelda movie, because they decided to tell us when it was coming out. And they did it in an interesting way, and it kind of makes sense from their perspective, as they did push out that Nintendo Today application. And the way they described it was, it's kind of the next step beyond just the Nintendo Direct, which, of course, big events that they run that are typically pre-recorded, and then they stream them for a set amount of time, and it shows off all kinds of games for a certain time period, whether it's like the next year, the next few months, for like the Switch. Okay, so now it's an application that sends information every day, at least is how they're describing it, and they really got things started with a bang, because in this case, they told us the release date for the Legend of Zelda movie through the application, and I think it surprised everyone. I wasn't expecting it. Well, we can actually see it is coming out March 26, 2027. Okay, so they're giving us a 2-year heads up on this one, which, okay, that's fine. Movies are a little more predictable than games, whereas we know game development can get a bit out of hand, and you even have to sometimes reboot or cancel games. In this case, the movie, it seems a little more set up for them to make a release, although they could also push it back and stuff, but they seem pretty confident, I guess, just throwing that out there 2 years in advance. Now, here's the thing. They pushed it on that Nintendo Today app, and then they had some issues. So they had to post this up over on their official account on Twitter X, where they said, the Nintendo Today app is currently experiencing heavy traffic, which is causing display issues with some contents. We apologize for the inconvenience. We are working to fix the situation and ask that you please access the app at a later time. Yes, the fact that the release date for the Zelda movie was pushed to that app made people realize, oh, this isn't just like a little thing for Nintendo. They could legitimately announce a brand new game through it. So I may as well have it on my phone. And I mean, people were all of a sudden rushing to download this thing, put the widget on their phones just in case something happened. It'll pop up right there, which, I mean, it's kind of cool that, sure, any day Nintendo could push a new game announcement to your phone, or in this case, the release date, say, for a movie. Now, it's not always going to be that, obviously. It might be smaller things, like even interviews with developers, how they'll have those sit downs sometimes, and they'll kind of discuss how they did what they did in certain games, or why they went this route. Those are really fun and interesting things as well. So, I mean, I think the Nintendo Today app is only a net positive in general. Yes, for Nintendo, because like they're on your phone and they can get in contact with you for news and stuff a lot easier. But also, again, it is fun just to see what exactly they come up with and what they decide to send out every day. Now, back to the movie with The Legend of Zelda, because it seems like maybe Nintendo has plans for going beyond just a single release. This we can see posted up over on Nintendo Life, saying an update from Daniel Rickman, who's known for movie news and scoops, who says the casting for Link, Zelda, Ganon, and Impa has already been decided, with other roles expected to be finalized by August this year. This same source claims the main actors have been locked in to shoot 3 movies, so a trilogy, over the space of 6 years. Keep in mind, though, of course, there's no official confirmation for this yet. This is just a rumor for now. And I will say that the live action aspect for a Legend of Zelda movie feels risky for Nintendo, because they can definitely mess it up. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. I know the Mario movie I thought was good. It wasn't going to win an Oscar or anything, but it did what it had to do, and it was better than the other Mario movie, obviously. And it was much closer to what you'd expect a Mario movie to look like. So I think because of that, it sort of fit in nicely, and it made, more than $1 billion. Very, very successful. A live action Zelda movie, there's so much stuff that can go wrong when it comes to the live action aspect, when it comes to the tone, the cinematography, the visuals. It feels like it makes more sense to do either animated or kind of like what they did with the Mario movie, with that almost like that illumination look, right? I need to see the casting first. I think that's what everyone's thinking right now. Who are they going to have play Link? How are they going to make a movie around a character that's supposed to be mute? I guess in the movie universe, doesn't necessarily have to be the case, because they can stray away from that a bit. But then if Nintendo's trying to really stick to true to form as possible with something like this, that would be an interesting thing to see them figure out. So a lot of questions around this, and I think it really starts from the casting first, and hopefully it's not just like, hey, here's Link, it's Chris Pratt. So great. Thanks, Miyamoto. You really seem to enjoy him being in your movies, because he's pretty cool. Next up, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 6, as there was an interview over the weekend between Strauss Zelnick and Wall Street Week. Just interesting. I always see these articles pop up in interviews for gaming, whether it's Mark Cerny talking to Wired or something, or Jim Ryan, and now you see the Strauss Zelnick talking to Wall Street Week about GTA 6. It's, hey, if anything, I guess gaming really has grown into the mainstream completely, and it makes sense for something like this, I guess, because we're talking billions and billions of dollars in revenue being generated, what might be almost overnight just about, for an intellectual property like Grand Theft Auto, certainly with Grand Theft Auto 6. Well, he was asked, hey, what's going on here? We haven't really heard much. Apparently it's coming out this year. What's the deal there? This from Strauss Zelnick, who is the Take-Two Interactive CEO, saying, the anticipation for that title may be the greatest anticipation I've ever seen for an entertainment property. And I've been around the block a few times, and I've been in every entertainment business there is. We want to maintain the anticipation and the excitement. And we do have competitors who will describe their release schedule for years in advance, and we found that the better thing to do is to provide marketing materials relatively close to the release window in order to create that excitement on the one hand and balance the excitement with unmet anticipation. We don't always get it exactly right, but that's what we are trying to do. So really, I mean, in their mind, the anticipation around the announcement and that inevitable release date and just release of the game is kind of doing the marketing for them without, I mean, he's like, oh, we don't buy Super Bowl ads. Well, yeah, just GTA 6 in general, just the looming possibility that a trailer could release in April is enough to have people talk about it, just because there might be a trailer for GTA 6. Still, though, the way it's been described behind the scenes, like the entire industry isn't being held up right now, but there are significant games, we'll say, that seem to be kind of in limbo right now, waiting. Okay, where is GTA 6 going to slot in, say, for the holiday time period? Because based on when Borderlands is coming out, you feel like there's at least maybe 2 or 3 months it could come out. Maybe it would be a November release. Maybe it comes out like the first week of December and it's the last release of the year. It's very difficult if you're trying to plan a project that's been in the works for years and years and years, hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're just sitting here thinking, when is GTA 6 coming out so I can set this up and get our marketing cycle going? Seems like right now Take-Two is just hanging out, and just the anticipation of it alone is enough, which I'll give them this, it certainly saves on their marketing budget for a game that's going to make stupid money, but eventually they got to start talking about this. So here's hoping it's sooner rather than later. So not only can we see GTA 6, but I guess the industry itself can get moving here towards the end of 2025. Next up, let's talk about Netflix games, which is not something you hear very often. So Netflix in general is looking into games more and more. They have an entire section when you turn on the app, and it tries to at least catch your attention. But at least for me, there's nothing there that makes me go, oh, I definitely want to play that. I guess the Grand Theft Auto stuff where they did that, the update and the better versions were there, right? Before they brought that update to consoles and stuff. That was kind of cool, but we're talking like brand new games that absolutely make you go, I have to get Netflix so I can play this thing. Haven't seen it yet. That said, there is an interesting mindset going on right now with the president of games at Netflix, and they actually shared this in an interview, which we can see here. And this is from Elaine Tascan, again, the Netflix games president, and they were talking with thegamebusiness.com. During the San Francisco event, Tascan was asked if Netflix would look to making console-style games, and although he admits to being a console player, he feels it's not the future direction of travel for the medium, and certainly not for Netflix. Says, when it comes to console, we started to look at the future and where the platform is agnostic. Look at the younger generation, our 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds dreaming of owning a PlayStation 6. I'm not sure. They are wanting to interact with any digital screen. Whatever it is, wherever it is, even in the car. With console, you're thinking about high definition. You're thinking about the controller. If we look at this older model, I think it will restrain us. Now, I don't necessarily think that what they're saying here, the Netflix games president, is completely wrong, because we see Microsoft doing something similar in the sense that, hey, we don't want to be locked into one box, one console. And that's what they're being asked about. Hey, what about console-style games? Could you make a console and it be like a Netflix box or something? And even just on the service, I guess, as well. Although the idea here for Netflix is that they would be trying to push their service, but their service works on a number of different devices. Like, it's on mobile phones, tablets, computers, smart TVs. It's all over the place, right? Even just on game consoles. So in that sense, as long as the game works across the board on these different platforms, like, they're happy and that's the direction. However, if you think about it that way, well, what would they then lean into? It would be the tablet, the mobile games, and really, in this case, they're thinking more along the lines of, what's the younger generation looking towards more? That or consoles? And you know what? it's kind of hard to say. It's when we were growing up, even if you're like your 20s, you might have a DS or something, right? You have a game system in front of you. Now, I mean, tablets are really cheap, dime a dozen. They even have them set up where they have cases that are more resistant to drops, and they're set up for kids to use. It just seems like more and more now, I'm sure parents are just handing tablets to the kids as opposed to here's a Game Boy. I will say though, to kind of ignore the Switch itself when it comes to the younger audience seems strange. He mentions PlayStation 6, but I feel like there are many younger kids who are maybe picking up the Switch as their first system, like a Switch Lite or something for the car, or I think Nintendo's still there with the younger generation, and that's kind of how it was, when I was younger. It's like, oh yeah, it's Nintendo. That's what we're gonna play. So I don't think things have changed that much in that sense, but certainly there's a lot more out there that's vying for your screen time. So they're not completely wrong, but also keep in mind, it's the Netflix game's president, so this is kind of their strategy as they're saying going forward. So they also want to paint that sort of a picture. But no, I don't think console gaming is going away anytime soon. But I also can't necessarily dispute the idea that, yeah, tablets and phones and even custom-built PCs now with the rise there is certainly taking up more and more of the pie. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about that Black Flag remake with Assassin's Creed Shadows now out. Of course, people still discussing that, but also kind of looking towards the future for Ubisoft after that Tencent deal. Well, whenever I saw people talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows, it was always brought up as, well, my favorite one is Assassin's Creed Black Flag, or Assassin's Creed 2, but Black Flag came up a lot. So, when we hear about this remake, it's like, okay, maybe this is an Assassin's Creed game that a lot of people can be excited for. We'll see how Ubisoft treats it, but it does seem like something was going on in the back end of a PlayStation store that made people think that, okay, maybe this is closer than we thought. Well, you could see this post where it looked like it was moved to showing announced, okay? And in that sense, well, maybe we do have something here for Black Flag getting prepared on the back end of PlayStation, as that has happened quite a bit, as we've had PlayStation Game Size just post that, hey, something's happening with updates for this listing or this title. In this case, though, it seems like this might have been more of them cleaning up the PlayStation Store and some of the listings, as there were multiple Black Flag setups here for Assassin's Creed, one being more expensive than the other, and it just seemed like more redundant listings, and they were moving things around to try to eliminate and kind of just cycle down to one that will be available there. But still, it had people talking about the Black Flag remake, which we have had some details put out there that it's being built on the new upgraded Anvil engine there, so it's going to be more than just a visual upgrade as well, with gameplay mechanics, seeing a nice touch-up, combat, and ecosystems around the wildlife. And we're thinking it could launch as early as November 2025, but the situation here that kind of throws a wrench into that is that Shadows didn't come out at the end of 2024. It fell into 2025, which could then also, of course, push the entire schedule forward a few months, which then would land something like Black Flag in 2026. I will say, though, if we just get Black Flag and it's mostly one-to-one, but with gameplay improvements that we've seen throughout several releases now since, and then also the visuals of Shadows, which I know people go back and forth on, is Assassin's Creed Shadows any good? I think most people look at it and say, well, at least, if anything, it's a really good-looking game. So you take those visuals, that tech with the open world style, put it with Black Flag and kind of that setup that people really seem to like, you might have something there. And that is really exciting to hear. That might be the direction they're going in. And hey, if it is coming out at the end of this year, even the beginning of 2026, you feel like it's something we would see at some point this year. And well, we typically see that Ubisoft event around Summer Game Fest. So maybe sometime in June or July, we could see Ubisoft really start to show this thing off as they make the push towards the end of this year. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, will a new Mario Kart be a launch game for Switch 2? 88%, wow. People are very confident on this one. And then only 12% say no. And I think it makes sense. I mean, it's the one game Nintendo's shown us so far, and it's like, okay, you just showed us the launch title, basically. I mean, yeah, probably. I'm still holding out hope that instead that's a bit of a swerve. Maybe it comes out a few months later, and instead they have a big new 3D Mario game. I think that'd be really cool to launch the system with that. But I also understand the popularity of Mario Kart, especially after seeing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sell like 60 some odd million units on the Switch after already having released on the Wii U. Yeah, people like their Mario Kart, so it of course would work to move systems right out of the gate, no problem. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Harold the Wizard Cat, says, spread wings, John, spread wings. Hey, you know what happens when you're caught between two different phrases? It was spread their wings and stretch their legs. You end up in the middle with limited ads from YouTube. No, it wasn't that big. Emphasize, look, there was only, I don't know, I looked, it was 82,000 or so people who saw that. It's like doing that in front of MetLife Stadium, except there the crowd would probably not laugh as much because they have to watch the Jets play, and there's just, they gotta be all laughed out, I assume. Like, even the Jets fans are like, yeah, you know what, he might be on to something there. But I understand, it was funny. I removed, people were asking, yes, I did remove it because it was like 2 seconds and it took over the entire video. But I'm not gonna necessarily leave it off the internet because it was legitimately funny. So instead, I'll leave it here with you. The couple second clip, Evan can put it in right here as we finish up. Let Retro Studios really spread their legs, and I'm sure that won't come back to bite me at some point in the future. But ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed last week's Newswave, I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to see what a retro GameStop store looks like now in 2025. I checked that out over the weekend, and I'll leave it right below it. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.